In this video 1-5, we will be working with the properties of numbers. By the end of the video and work time in class, you should be able to say, I can identify and use the properties of numbers. The first property that we're going to look at is the commutative property, and it works for addition and multiplication. For addition, I'm going to first use arithmetic, so I'm using numbers, to show this property. 7 plus 12 is the same as 12 plus 7. What this is saying is the order does not matter. 7 plus 12 is the same as 12 plus 7. Using algebra, A plus B is the same as B plus A. So for any real number A plus any real number B, it's the same if I just change the order and do them B plus A. The same is true for multiplication. For example, using arithmetic, 7 times 12, that's the same as 12 times 7. Using algebra, A times B is the same as B times A. So the commutative property is telling us that the order for addition and multiplication doesn't matter. The associative property also works for both addition and multiplication. Using arithmetic, this property is showing us if I take 4 plus 7 plus 3 and I put parentheses around 4 plus 7, and following order of operations, I would have to do 4 plus 7 first, and then I would add 3 to that after that. So that would be my second step. Now that would be the same as if I took those same 3 integers, and if I decided to add 7 plus 3 first, and then add 4, I would get the same thing. So what's happening here is I'm not changing the order of the numbers, but I'm changing how I'm grouping the problem and what I'm calculating first, what I'm starting with. In the first set, I would start with 4 plus 7. On the second set, I would start with 7 plus 3. But after I complete both sides, I get the same thing. Using algebra, A plus B plus C, where I do A plus B first, is the same as A plus B plus C if I did B plus C first. Multiplication, this property works as well. So if I had 4 times 7 times 3, and I decided to do 4 times 7 first, and then multiply that by 3, I'm going to get the same as if I had those same 3 integers and started with multiplying 7 times 3 and then multiplying by 4. Changing the grouping does not matter if I'm just multiplying. And so with algebra, A times B times C, and multiply A times B first, then C, would be the same as if I changed the grouping and decided to multiply B times C first. So I'm changing the grouping here, and this works if I am only adding in a problem or multiplying in a problem. Now with both the commutative and the associative properties, subtraction and division will not work. They only work with addition and multiplication. The identity properties are also working with addition and multiplication. For identity, you want to think to yourself, what are we doing to the number to keep its identity so it remains the same? For addition, using arithmetic, if I take 6 and I add 0 to it, it is remaining at that value of 6. It's keeping its identity. Using algebra, if I have any real number A, I add 0 to it, I will always have A. And that would be the same as if I, using commutative, switched them around. Now, with multiplication, if I take 6 and multiply it by 1, it keeps its identity of 6. So in multiplication, any real number times 1, it keeps its identity. Now, just kind of going back, using commutative, the same would be true here. and here if I switch them around, because that order doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. For the distributive property, using arithmetic, it looks like this. If I have 3 and then parentheses, and inside the parentheses I have 2 plus 7, what happens here is I'm taking 3 and I'm multiplying it by 2 plus 7. I'm multiplying it by that sum. Well, I can use the distributive property. Now watch what I do. I call this making a rainbow. You kind of see a little rainbow image there. And I'm taking that 3 and I'm multiplying it by 2. 3 times 2 gives me 6. And then I'm taking that 3 and I'm multiplying it by 7. So 3 times 2 is 7. That is the distributive property. We could continue simplifying, and 6 plus 7 gives us 13. If we were to simplify all the way. Now it also works if that 3 was on the other side. So if I had the 2 plus 7 and I had 3 here on the other side of the parentheses, I'm doing the same thing. 3 times 2 plus, because the plus sign there, 3 times 7. Oh, what am I doing? I didn't do 3 times 7. Let me switch that up here. There we go. Sorry about that. And 3 times 7 gives me the 21, so I have 27. So we get the same thing. Using algebra, A times B plus C. Distribute. You get A times B plus A times C. The same is true for if the A was on the other side of the parentheses. You get A times B plus A times C. The same works for subtraction. So if I had something like 5 times 8 minus 2, I can distribute 5 times 8 minus, now we put a minus sign here because there's a minus sign right here, and then 5 times 2 to give us 30. The same would be true as if I had 8 minus 2. I distribute the 5 to the 8 and to this 2 here, which is really a negative 2 because the minus sign. 5 times 8 minus 5 times 2. We get the same thing. Using algebra, distribute the A to the B and the C, and same as if the A was on the other side. Can you say, I can identify and use the properties of numbers? Here's your output to complete and be ready with questions for work time in class.